Artsakh. Artsakh. Ooh, I'm getting there good with the throat. Azerbaijan. These are places that I had no idea where they were until a few days ago. And boy, am I thankful I understand or know more now. Thanks to one of my students who volunteered to talk to my classes about the unrest in Armenia. And it all started when he sent me an email.
Okay, so here's the email that Andrew Y. sent me. Hi, Dr. Neat, you may have heard of this already, but there's currently a large war over Artsakh between Armenia and Azerbaijan. While almost every Armenian I know is informed of what is happening, I see a huge lack of awareness in others at school. If it's possible for you to set aside part of a class period, I would be more than happy to speak about it if you're okay with that. If you're interested, I can send you more links, resources for reference. Thanks, Andrew. So, OMG. Yes, my class, my coding class is a mosquito on an elephant compared to the importance of something like this. So I said, you got it, Andrew. So then he made a presentation and he delivered it to my class. And you're going to see the tape of that right now. And I just wanted to comment, I'm sort of an average news junkie, probably an old man news person. Like I still watch network news, national news, half hour at night, Lester Holt or whatever. And the 30 minutes that you're about ready to watch blows away anything I've learned in any 30-minute newscast that I've watched in my life. So I hope it does the same for you. Here it is.
Okay, so in case you guys don't know, currently there is a war happening between Armenia and Azerbaijan over a small region of land that is called the Nagorno-Karabakh region, or Artsakh. And this has been going on for basically since World War I ended around. So in case you guys have seen like people with Armenian flags or the huge protests that have been happening recently, this is what that's about. So first, some background. Over here you can see where Armenia is, and this is a very like close-up image of it. But to the left you have Turkey, and then on the right of Armenia we're bordered by Azerbaijan, and then stuck between the two is the Nagorno-Karabakh region, or Artsakh, and this small little piece is also Azerbaijan. So we're basically boxed in from three sides, and Georgia doesn't really do anything, so we're basically boxed in on four sides. So the issue is revolving around this region over here. In 1917, Armenia and Azerbaijan both claimed ownership over this land, but neither gave in. Armenians lobbied the Soviet Union to join the Karabakh to Armenia because historically there are a lot of Armenians living in the region, but the USSR didn't agree to that. So constant like revolts and uprisings were brewing until 1987 when Armenia petitions for another transfer of the region. This led to more protests and it turned violent and it began to escalate. 1 year later, Karabakh officially secedes from Azerbaijan and declares itself an independent state, but currently there are no nations that recognize this independence, including Armenia, and that's because of some international laws stuff that I'm not too clear on. But after this is when the war officially begins. So in 1989, Armenia declares that Karabakh is basically one with Armenia. 2 years later, Moscow declares the ending of support to Azerbaijani militants in Karabakh. So this is still when the Soviet Union is in power, but months later is when the Soviet Union crumbles and they withdraw all their forces from the region, which leads to further instability between Azerbaijan and Armenia. So all throughout the 90s, there are constant wars and fighting along this entire area, basically. And if you go to Armenia now, you can still see some of the destruction from all the way back then. So now some information about Azerbaijan and Turkey. For those of you not aware, Turkey led the Armenian genocide in 1915, so that's why Armenia and Turkey are like really bad enemies. In orange is Turkey, and in green is Armenia, and then directly to the east is Azerbaijan. So again, we're kind of squished between two of the people we hate the most, but historically, Azerbaijan and Turkey have been ethnic allies, and Armenia is being pressured on both sides because of this. Turkey politically is very much against Russia, so they've been fighting proxy wars against the Russians in Syria and Libya. And a proxy war is essentially when you're either hiring fighters to fight for you, or you're sending supplies and troops and whatnot to different militant groups to fight for you, essentially. So in July and August, Turkey did the same thing. They sent troops and equipment to Azerbaijan. They even sent a couple fighter jets and NATO weaponry, which is a huge issue, which I'll touch on later. And all throughout this, the Azerbaijani president said that no, like, we have nothing from Turkey. Like, he denied all the claims, but there were satellite images very clearly showing a Turkish F-16 fighter jet. So he's like, yeah, we do have Turkish weaponry. And then the most recent development has been that Turkey hired and deployed around 2,000 Syrian mercenaries to fight in the Nagorno-Karabakh region against Armenia. So again, big war crime. But next is a little bit of background on Armenia, Russia, and Artsakh. I'll use Nagorno-Karabakh and Artsakh interchangeably. They refer to the same place. So over here, the white region is what is currently Artsakh, and the yellow region is, I believe, where Azerbaijan has been like mounting its forces. Historically, Artsakh has been 99.7 ethnically Armenian, 99.7% ethnically Armenian, sorry. So it is very much filled with Armenians, and it has always been historically a part of Armenia, even since around the 5th century BC. You can go there right now and you can see like Armenian cathedrals, you can see the architecture, you can like ask the people there who have been living there for literally centuries. After this though, after the 400 BC, Armenia constantly became conquered and freed itself. So there was a lot of rocky kind of turmoil like that. But eventually, the Persian Empire took over the area. But in 1805, the Russian Empire annexed it from Iran in a treaty. So after this, Russian Empire dissolves and the Soviet Union is established. And this is where Stalin and his officials declare Artsakh as part of Azerbaijan. And this is partly what led to the conflict today, because officially under the Soviet Union, Artsakh is part of Azerbaijan, but the Soviet Union doesn't exist, so why are we still listening to that is basically the mindset right now. Also, this is, no one wants to be told that, hey, I'm going to take part of your historic land and give it to another country because I want to please them. So, yeah. Now on to the current conflict. Ever since Azerbaijan launched their offensive on September 27th of this year, hundreds have already died on both sides. There was recently a ceasefire negotiated in Moscow, hosted by both sides, but the Azerbaijani president, if you even look at his Twitter feed, you can see he never really took it seriously, and he said, "We're willing to negotiate, but I will make no concessions." So it was a very useless ceasefire. And that doesn't help the fact that Azerbaijan also began artillery attacks only 12 hours after the ceasefire. This has been the worst fighting since 1994 ceasefire from the first war. And by now, Azerbaijan has begun to send artillery strikes at civilian areas, such as the capital of Artsakh. This is a picture down here of what used to be a road and building in Stepanakert, or the capital of Artsakh. And I was walking these very streets last year, and now half of that city has been reduced to rubble with thousands displaced, and they have to find somewhere else to go. So in this map up here, you can see where the largest battles have been recently. I'm not sure how recent this is. This may be like a week or two old, but the Azeris essentially launched attacks reaching all the way over here right after the ceasefire ended. And to make matters worse, Turkey has been openly backing Azerbaijan, and this led to the Azerbaijani military targeting a historic Armenian cathedral. There was literally nothing else in the area, so they had to have targeted this specific cathedral. And while the Azerbaijani government is again denying that they did this, there are reporters and journalists who are there as eyewitnesses. There's this German guy named Paul Ronsheimer. I don't know if I butchered his name, but he said, "I was there. It is a fact that the church was bombed twice. And who else could be behind the bombing other than Azerbaijan and Turkey?" And this was in response to the Los Angeles Times glossing over the conflict very quickly. So you're going to see a lot of confusion and misinformation on social media, which is part of what we're trying to fight right now, because people don't know what is going on. People don't know what is the right side of things. And it's not helpful that there are probably tens of thousands of Azeri bot accounts and just spam accounts that are going around to anyone who is supporting the Armenians and spamming them with hate comments, death threats. In fact, I think Cardi B posted in support of Armenia, and then under literally tens of thousands of like hate comments, she deleted the post. So things like that are very common recently. However, Armenia does have a lot of allies. It's just that they're not nearby enough to help. President Macron of France said, "We will not allow a reconquest of Artsakh," and France has been a huge ally to Armenia ever since the Armenian genocide. I've personally seen videos and pictures of I can't think of the word. Like protests, yes. pictures of and videos of protests in tons of countries, even if their governments don't officially support it. I've seen pictures from Denmark, Sweden, even Chile. I've seen it from Serbia, Latvia, like all these different countries are saying like, no, Armenia is like the victim here. I want to show you guys a video though of an old school teacher who was forced to run away from the area though because of the shelling.
I was at home when it happened. It was so unexpected. It was a very great, very loud.
Hər ehtimala qarşı yas çıxanda deyib axırıncı biz.
Come in, please. It's very bad situation here.
These were from Azerbaijan, these shells that hit your home. What do you think of them?
What can I think? We want to live without them because it is impossible now. But it's impossible to live with them now. I don't know. We had many friends, Azerbaijan here, but now we are enemies, great enemies. That is why I personally don't want to live with them and don't want to speak to them.
Why couldn't you think about being friends with an Azeri now?
We can't be friends now. It's impossible. So many people died. Even yesterday, one of my pupils again died. We buried him yesterday. That is why we don't, nobody wants to. It's impossible. We are enemies now. We must live separately. We mustn't live with them. We don't want to live with them.
Do you think you'll ever come back?
Of course, of course. We have no other place to live.
So this video is coming straight from the Artsakh region. I walked those streets. I recognize that one of the streets that they showed, and as you saw, it has been quite literally torn apart. So there are innocent people there. There are people who are still just trying to get by. And because of this, because Azerbaijan wants like a little bit more land, they're going to these ends just for this small region. So you can see how this would be really important to a lot of Armenians, whether it's here at CV or just across the world in the diaspora in general. There are people with families there. There are students, friends, you know, like imagine if right now there was just a giant explosion at like school or in the middle of the Burbank airport, because that's basically what's happening. And imagine like how many people could have lost their family members, their friends, their loved ones. So it's a very large issue for us right now. This is a video that I recorded from a Zoom meeting that was in one of the district board meetings, and we had the chance to ask Congressman Adam Schiff some questions. Morning, Congressman. My question to you is, considering that Turkey is a NATO country, what is the U.S. response to their aggression? Can you guys hear that? Or was it quiet? Okay.
Well, that's a very good question. Turkey has for years now been taking actions deeply incompatible with its NATO obligations. Turkey purchased a bunch of Russian air defense systems. Those systems are not compatible with NATO. Turkey has been increasingly drawing closer to Iran, strengthening its relationship with Iran, which is also not in NATO's best interest. Turkey took actions in Syria that endangered NATO troops. That is, and American troops. That was certainly not compatible with its obligations. And now this refusal to cease fire, this drawing Syrian foreign fighters into the conflict, is also deeply seriously at odds with their NATO obligations. So, I think that the administration and our NATO partners really need to consider what are the consequences of Turkey acting so incompatible with NATO? What benefit is NATO still deriving from Turkey, and do we need to really rethink this relationship? That's a hard conversation that I think we need to have. Indeed, I think that conversation has been ongoing even before now. So this is a judgment we'll have to make in consultation with our allies. But it seems to me tragically that Turkey is on a trajectory that is moving further and further away from the West, moving further away from democracy, and coming to embrace autocracy. And this is something we need to discuss with our NATO allies. I should mention that our own steps, our own anti-democratic steps in this administration make it hard for us to make some of those points with our democratic allies. Our own effort to cast our free press as the enemy of the people, and other steps that have been taken by the administration in the last several years don't give us the high ground that we should have on some of these issues. But nevertheless, I think it's time for a heart-to-heart with our NATO partners about Turkey's actions and what that means to the alliance.
It's sorry for the poor resolution. I have to record it in gallery view, so it's about 4 pixels large. But that was in response to me asking, like, if Turkey is in NATO right now, why hasn't anything been said about their aggression? And this is why I brought up the fact that Turkey was selling, or not selling, but moving NATO weaponry into Azerbaijan. We know this because the cathedral that was blown up had parts of these NATO weaponry. And who else could have given Azerbaijani militants this weaponry other than Turkey, who so openly helps them? And on top of that, I wanted to emphasize how in the video, I don't know if you heard, but he said that Turkey was strengthening its bonds with Iran, and that wasn't in America's best interest. Now, while that might be true, even me personally, Iran is technically an ally of Armenia. My parents were born there. So this is just an example of how the politics of the different countries are playing into this as well. And that is one of the largest issues that we face today. So while like America thinks, oh, we need to intervene because Turkey is befriending Iran, it's not because of the people suffering in Armenia. And there are very few countries who are willing to stand by us just because it is the right thing. And that is partially what France is doing. So it's really important to understand how politically, like, we're in a very tough spot too. There are not many who are willing to help us. But on the other hand, in a later part of that same meeting, Congressman Schiff said that, like, judging by the evidence that can be found after the conflict settles, there's a very high chance that there's enough debris and like evidence there that Turkey could be tried for war crimes. So that is also some sort of a positive, I guess. That was the end of the presentation I had, but there was a letter that I found that was written 3 days ago from a 19-year-old soldier on the front lines of Artsakh. So this is someone who might have been at school with us last year or the year before. Like, there are basically kids fighting this war, like, just out of school. So this was written in June, but it was just found. So I'll read the translation to you guys. Only 45 minutes were needed to figure out where to begin, and I still couldn't really figure it out. Hello, Mother. It's the first time in 10 days that I've had time to think. The first time in 10 days that there's a pause. Until this moment, there was just never enough time to think. And now 45 minutes are gone, just spent on thinking, on how not to cause you any pain. How to boost your morale, and in the end, I decided to just be frank. We have no shortage of morale. Here, we are all lions. On the dawn of the second day, we had already defeated death. Nobody here dies. You just wake up, and they are no longer by your side. We do not use the word death or martyrdom to describe it. We simply say, he went home. There is no death after the dawn of that second day. Today, for the first time, I have started to think about what all this is, what war is, what it is for or against, why it is at all. In the beginning, you are afraid, and then the fear disappears and vanishes quickly. And then you see your friend connected to you in your blood. Your soul leaves your body at the sight of it for 5 minutes and then returns. After that is bitterness, and after that, salty tears, not from weakness or fear, but from our love for our friends and family. After that is fury and anger, and we begin to kill left and right in the hundreds in the most cruel possible ways. And in the moment, we even feel pleasure doing so. Then comes the joy in our smaller and larger victories. And then come the quiet hours, but your mind is empty. You are not able to think at all. A brief peacefulness is established. Afterwards, emotions disappear again, and we kill hundreds more, but this time without emotion, without vengeance, without happiness, without thought. We're just solving a problem now. Your appearance is no longer hazy, and your soul is no longer bothered. You just kill them one after the other, one more tank after the other. Yesterday, standing peacefully like our mountains, I was watching a screaming enemy whose burnt body was hanging off his tank. I didn't lift a finger to do a thing. I did not save him, nor did I kill him. I just waited until the end, until I watched him turn to ash. War is hell, Mother. I apologize for the frankness of the statements. However many of them will come, that many I will kill. Do you see it, Mom? How easily I use that word? This is why war is hell, Mother. Today was the first time I began to think about what victory truly means. 2 more of my hours gone just thinking about that. I forcefully wrung out these thoughts. Victory is making sure this never happens again. They have forced us to fight. We will fight, but we will completely eliminate the enemy. If we do not do that, this will happen again next year, and the year after, or the year after that. I asked I asked my commanding officers, do you have a number? The number that we have to kill to win. I want it so that until every single last enemy is dead, for us to not go home and quell our fires. Mom, victory for mothers is not to cry, to not live through pain, and to not repeat any of this ever again. This will only be possible after the complete destruction of our enemy. Every one of them, Mom. From them, not one standing soldier must remain. And I do not say this coming from a place of evil. It is just a problem like math that only has one solution: to prevent this from repeating ever again. Do you know why this is a problem? Because firing that rocket launcher or the sniper rifle, you only care about destroying the other. You are only solving a problem. 1 less, 2 less, 40 less, 200 less. It's all just become numbers. I love you, I love my friends, and I love my fatherland. But I am no longer a naive romantic. I have grown smarter. Victory is preventing this from repeating, even if it is killing every last enemy. I'm no longer afraid of that word, Mother, and I'm not to blame, and I hope you will not blame me for it. One day, someone decided to ruin our world. I will try to fix it as best as I can. Our planet is great, Mom, and it would be a waste not to try. Life is good. I love you. So this was written by someone just barely older than us, someone who had to face war and death and just watch people beside him fall left and right. This is not something that anyone should have to go through. This is it, basically. These are just individuals who had no other choice but to fight for their home, and they weren't given the option. And currently, there are hundreds of Armenians dead, and possibly hundreds more. I went to a candle lighting ceremony where they had to read off all these names, and so many of them were from 2002, people who were literally barely older than me. So these are just people like us, and they had to lay their lives down because of aggression from Azerbaijan and Turkey. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks.
That was an amazing presentation. If we were, in my room right now, we would give you a thunderous applause. So thanks for that. I don't, as you talked, Andrew, I thought a lot of things, but I also wrote down a bunch of questions. So I don't know whether this is a good thing. I'd like to do whatever's good for you. Like, would you like to cut it off here, or would you like to hear maybe from people in the class, or what's your pleasure?
I can try to answer some questions, but I don't know if I'll be able to answer all of them because I just don't know too much about everything yet. So,
no, but
I'd be happy to try.
Okay, it's okay for you to try to do this. Done.
Yeah.
All right, good. Is there anybody in the room that wanted to ask something? What are the dimensions of these lands? Like, how big is this piece of land that's under, that they're fighting over? Is it like California?
It's tiny. No, it's it's very small. Artsakh is only about 4,400 square miles. So, like, on the global scale, that's really nothing.
Yeah. Like, is there a United States state that you could say, oh, it's it's like Connecticut or whatever?
I honestly think it's smaller than that.
Okay, so it's tiny.
Yeah, it's really small.
I was also wondering what is Armenia's military like? Like, the kid that wrote the letter was like he drafted, or like does everybody, at male that's 18 do time or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Yes, from what my piano teacher told me is that they are required to do some service in Armenia. I just don't know how much. But the Armenians, being such a proud people, will enlist anyway.
Okay.
My cousin told my uncle, like, if you guys weren't here, I would have already gone to fight. So even like people here would be willing to go. So
Huge amounts of pride.
yeah.
And then how about strength-wise? Do they have technology? Like, do they have
No.
fighter jets? Okay, so
Yeah, well, we have fighters, but like against Turkey, no. Like against Azerbaijan, barely. We don't have the supplies or the money necessary to continue fighting this for too long. If you've heard of the Armenia Fund, they've raised something like $40 million in the past couple of weeks from people here. But in the end, that only covers about 2 days of fighting. So, it's, yeah.
Does France give them money?
France, I don't know about the entire country of France. Yeah, but there was a small region of France whose leader, I guess, sent over like hundreds of crates of supplies and couple tens of thousands of euros. So there are like countries trying to help and such. So,
but is for France? It sounds like it's the biggest Western country that's.
yeah, they've been our allies ever since they helped us after the Armenian genocide in around 1915. So
cool.
They helped save some of the survivors. So
cool. The lady, the first video you showed us, the lady's English was really good. Is that like normal?
From Armenia, no, but she was a teacher, so it's possible that that was part of why she spoke so well.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, the predominant language is always going to be Armenian there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even remember talking to anyone who could speak fluent fluent English there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so you were there last year?
Yeah, like literally last year.
In the
and
summer?
It was.
Was it the summer?
Yeah, in the summer, and like those buildings were still standing. Like there was still a city that you could go through, but now half of it's, rubble.
Yeah, tragic. The question you gave to Schiff was really smart. Good. Did you have that prepared ahead of time?
Yeah,
all right.
I had like 6 ready,
Okay.
but I could only ask one.
All right, that was good. And I mean, like he's a busy dude, right? And he.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how he had the time to do that, but I'm happy he did.
But I mean, the amount of time he spent answering your question, was.
Oh yeah, there was a full hour of answers like that. So
yeah.
Some of them were kind of skirting the question, but a lot of them were like serious answers.
Yeah, that one he hit it straight on, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That is my opinion. So, wow, awesome, totally awesome. Thank you. I think you did a great job. like this is a computer science class, right? And that's like the other side of the brain, and you have talents there. So thank you. If there are no other questions, well, you guys see who Andrew is if he's not your group. If you didn't know him, I'm sure that if you have interest in this or you want to know more, track him down. Is that okay, Andrew? Like that. I assume that's why you're doing this. You want to spread the word and let people know what they can do if they want to help. So thank you. All right, I'm going to press the magic button. And
I'm that happy now.
Yeah, Andrew, this is great. I will send you to your breakout rooms, and your group leaders will take it from here. Thank you again, Andrew.